I was absolutely convinced that today was patch day, but as the moon rises, it appears that we will not be having the Altar of Hope update today. So the thrill of the hunt, the promise of payment is apparently going to have to wait for another day. But today we did get a blog post with a video that had a lot of very interesting information in it. So we're going to go over all of that, talk about all the ins and outs of what we can learn about the bounty hunter who is coming soon to Darkest Dungeon 2. So first of all, this update is called the Altar of Hope. There is clearly more content to this update than just the Bounty Hunter, and we'll talk a bit more about that as we go, but the Altar of Hope update will introduce a new and enigmatic character to Darkest Dungeon 2. The Bounty Hunter is here to lend your band of companions a hand for a price. This is the first big note about the Bounty Hunter. They will not be a permanent addition to your team. You will have to collect a resource in order to hire them, and in collecting that resource, they will only join you for one region at the cost of some new currency. Speaking of, we will have the opportunity to hire the Bounty Hunter from this portrait at the back of certain inns. It has the Bounty Hunter's iconic helmet, an axe, and a hook. When you click on it, you'll be presented with this dialogue that says that the Bounty Hunter is available for hire. He will accompany you for one region. He will deduct 4 candles from the total earned in this expedition. Select a hero to replace. This hero will meet you at the next inn. Important question. How is that hero making it to the next inn? Since we have to ride through this, evil monster infested territory, and what, they're just gonna walk via the back roads. If I were our heroes, I might choose to do that instead. But all joking aside, this is an interesting new dynamic, and I think it makes the Bounty Hunter the hero equivalent of the Sluice. We'll probably have one opportunity to recruit them for one region during each of our 5 region playthroughs. When we hire him, he will show up here. His name is Mac, apparently. He has a beautifully glinting axe in the firelight, and the only thing of note that I trimmed out of this particular screenshot is that Mac has 72 hit points, and the man-at-arms in the party has 60-something hit points. So Mac is exceedingly tanky, and we'll talk more about his overall power level as we press forward, but here Mac is Mackin' on the Leviathan. If there was ever a region where I would choose to take the Bounty Hunter, I think it would be the Shroud. It is by far the hardest of the regions at its current balancing level. So a little more from the blog post. The Bounty Hunter is as versatile as he is deadly. A lifetime spent stalking the shadows has honed his prowess to an uncanny deadliness. He is stronger, tougher than his peers, boasting higher base damage, resistance, and overall enhanced combat efficacy. As we mentioned before, we already know that he has more hit points, but now we're also learning that his base damage is going to be higher, his resistance are higher, and he's just going to be an overall beast. Fantastic news for the one region that you get him. Here he is in all of his glory on his info panel. The only thing that we can learn here is his base resistances, which do appear to be a little higher than normal, averaging about 30 to 40. But also, quite importantly, we can see that he does not have all of his skills unlocked by default. So he has 5 skills currently, and what this means is that we will be going to hero shrines in order to learn his backstory and to unlock his additional skills. What I think is particularly curious is it's going to take a while to unlock all of his skills, because if you only get him for one region per adventure, it's going to take you much longer to hit enough hero shrines, and I will probably be playing very aggressively going to hero shrines in the early Bounty Hunter runs until I get all of his skills unlocked and learn all of his cool secrets. It also wouldn't surprise me, given the nature of him, if his stories were more interactive and more challenging, but only time will tell. So, back to the blog. A consummate professional, the Bounty Hunter will not gain or lose affinity with the party. He's here to get his job done and has no interest in fostering friendships or petty bickering. He is still vulnerable to stress, however, as any sane person should be. So all we're learning here is that obviously, since he's only here for one region, we're not going to have the benefit of positive or negative well, benefit of positive, detriment of negative effects, and we're not going to be gaining anything in terms of relationship over the course of a region. I think that's totally fine. The only thing that's slightly worrisome about that means you're not going to be getting any of the positive tokens or any heals or stress heals from the rest of your party. So we have to kind of hope that some of his abilities have some capacity to manage stress, although it doesn't look like it. So Mark for Death, just included in the blog post. It was a classic from Darkest Dungeon 1, and as we go through his skills, we will learn exactly what it does in the context of Darkest Dungeon 2. So, speaking of skills, Collect Bounty is the classic. It will probably hit rank 1 and 2. It is a hefty axe attack that deals bonus damage to a target that has combo. You're going to see a lot of combo, both consumption of combo and also generation of combo. Speaking of generation, Mark for Death designates a monster applying both combo and vulnerable tokens. We'll see how much. The first thing that sprung to mind with this ability is the bounty hunter obviously can't master skills because there's no time or context to do that. So we're just going to have one base level of each of these abilities that the bounty hunter will use. And it will be interesting to see if that means that maybe they'll be a little more permissive and we'll get something like combo and 2 vulnerable tokens, but we'll have to wait and see. Next up, we have Come Hither, which is a ranged rope hook attack that pulls the target forwards and applies combo. Historically, Come Hither also generated bleed. It looks like it doesn't here, but a pull that generates combo probably has some benefit. Uppercut is a vicious punch that knocks the target back and stuns them. Very nice. Having a stun that is not combo enabled, I think, is very interesting and a bit game-changing, game-breaking, perhaps. Flashbang, a utility skill that can shuffle, blind, daze, and stun a target if they have combo. We don't know which of those this does regarding when people have combo or not. If I had to guess, the shuffle, blind, and daze are not combo required, and the stun you get with combo. That's the way that Darkest Dungeon 2 has generally handled it. And then Finish Him is a melee attack with good reach that ignores block and deals dramatically more damage to stunned or dazed targets. My gut here says that this is going to hit rank 1 through 3 like the Darkest Dungeon 1 version did, and that it will probably do 50% more damage on stunned targets or dazed targets. This is going to be hard to enable, but that's my best guess. Caltrops, ranged single target bleed that deals heavy penalty to move, resist, and speed. This is not one that I am particularly excited about. We'll have to see how big the bleed is, but speed and move resist are not that interesting, especially on a single target. Hurlbat is a ranged axe throw that deals heavy damage to burning targets and ignores dodge if the target has combo. The combo enabler here is not that interesting. I think the bonus damage on burn at least makes it interesting for pairing with a runaway, but we'll have to see how that one pans out. And if it's a large enough multiplier, like if it's an extra 100% damage on burning targets and has a base only slightly lower than some of his other attacks, that could be a pretty cool enabler there. Then we have Stare Down. Designates a monster applying weak tokens while clearing his own vulnerable tokens and gaining taunt. I think that's fine. Building up a lot of stress on him seems like it's going to be a good strategy. You're probably going to want to use taunt on him fairly frequently because if you, we don't know what happens if he has a meltdown. Presumably it can't damage relationships, so he'll just lose hit points. And second, whatever stress you leave the zone with is going to be wiped out when he leaves your party. So you're probably going to want to stack stress on him. You're going to want him to do a fair amount of taunting, but I don't know if you're going to want to sacrifice his DPS to get there. No Escape is a low damage ranged throwing axe that stuns a target and applies combo. Wow. This one could be insane. If this stuns without the requirement for combo, applies combo, and does a little bit of damage, that's a beautiful skill right there, and that will be very, very interesting. If it can be used, say, from rank 2 and can stun the back ranks, that's going to be really, really powerful. And then last but not least, we have Bodyguard. Provide cover for another hero, guarding them and granting himself some block. Again, a little bit of tank archetype gets mixed in here. I could see certain party comps that kind of lack a taunt or lack a tank, and that could be beneficial, but we're going to have to wait and see. And then last but not least, he does have a passive, and his passive is that the Bounty Hunter has a chance to refresh combo on a target when using a skill that would normally consume it. Collect Bounty, Flashbang, Finish Him, Caltrops, and Hurlbat all consume combo, and they will all have a chance to reapply combo if combo is present. Very cool passive, very interesting. If the percent chance is high enough, that's going to be like insanely potent. The Bounty Hunter is a powerful addition to any party and may be just the thing you need to push through the upcoming region in your quest to reach the mountain. The only reason that I included this part here, because, you know, it just seems kind of like good copy, but at that last bit where it says in your quest to reach the mountain leads me to believe very strongly that the Bounty Hunter cannot be gotten for the mountain and will only be available on the regions leading up to the mountain. We'll have to wait and see, but that in a nutshell is the Bounty Hunter. A few other kind of high-level observations or speculation. So we know that we have a new currency called the Candle. We don't really know what it is for. We do know that the patch is called the Altar of Hope. So presumably there is going to be a thing called the Altar. The altar may be in every inn. We'll have to wait and see. But presumably we will be able to spend candles that we acquire somewhere on the altar for some purpose, right? There's no value in collecting candles just for the sake of it. So presumably there has to be some sacrifice that is made when you spend 4 candles to get the Bounty Hunter. They could be a meta currency that crosses runs, but that seems a little unlikely to me. So it seems much more likely that candles are probably acquired in run, and there will probably be some type of harm for not spending them. So my best guess, and obviously this is totally speculative, is that you will acquire candles over the course of the run, and then those candles will be put at the altar to increase hope so that when you enter the next region, you have full torch. So in order to save up so that the Bounty Hunter, you can get the Bounty Hunter, you will need to choose to enter some regions lacking full torchlight. So let's say that hypothetically inns only refresh up to 50% hope, and then each inn gives you 2 candles. And if you spend those 2 candles immediately, you go in with 100 torch, or if you don't, you risk getting ambushed and having to face cultists, basically. So you would have to store up 2 regions worth of candles in order to have enough to afford the Bounty Hunter. Hard to say. Maybe you'll get 4 candles for every region, and then if you only spend 2, you only get up to 50 torch. There's a lot of different permutations, but that's my best guess. Anyways, I have rambled too much about the things we don't know, but now you know all the things that we do know. It's hard to say exactly when the patch will come out, but I will be playing it as soon as humanly possible after it does go live. And in the meantime, we will be back tomorrow to regularly scheduled Darkest Dungeon videos. And I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. If you like videos like this, please consider tossing me a subscription or shooting a like on the video. It helps a great deal. If you want to speculate more about what is coming to Darkest Dungeon 2, or just generally talk about your successes and failures, I do have a Discord, and we'd love to have you there. Link down below. But for now, that's it for me. Have a good one, and I will see you out on the wagon. Bye.